We have reported repeatedly here that the Bush administration is more concerned with bailing out financial institutions than with helping working men and women in this country and their families. As Kitty Pilgrim now reports, a new plan will do little to help middle-class Americans and a great deal for those institutions.
1 million foreclosures last year, 2 million more predicted in the next 18 months. Congressional hearings spelled out what this means for middle-class Americans.
We have a large number of people in this country who are making, what, $30,000 to $50,000, $60,000 a year. They took out mortgages. They're working hard to pay their mortgages. And they are among the victims of a widespread foreclosure pattern.
Foreclosures are depressing property values. The Center for American Progress, a think tank which has done many studies on this, estimates 38% of homeowners who took out adjustable rate mortgages last year now owe more than their home is worth because of declining values. 45 out of 50 states show an increase in foreclosures, with California, Florida, Ohio, Texas, and Michigan hardest hit. But while big banks discuss a $100 billion bailout fund to back up shaky mortgages and other securities, homeowners are getting practically no help from the Bush administration.
The administration, with all of the policy analysts, all the departments that should have a piece of this, HUD and Treasury and everybody else, has really come up with very, very little.
The U.S. Treasury Department is promoting letters from Hope Now, a consortium of lenders and counselors. Those letters being sent to 250,000 homeowners at risk of default, offering help. But Hope Now admits it's the same type of letter banks typically send to people in trouble with their mortgages, only with a new Hope Now letterhead. Lending experts say it's practically worthless.
Anyone who is currently underwater, in other words, they owe more on their home than it's worth, are not going to be able to be helped by any of the programs that are currently up for discussion.
A recent national study found banks only modified 1% of mortgages to help borrowers struggling with rising mortgage costs. Now, a House committee is expected to pass an anti-predatory lending bill this evening, but many say that will protect people in the future. For now, millions are brink of losing their homes, with little clear relief spelled out for them from Washington, Lou.
And Congress is not acting here. And the idea that this administration, you know, Secretary Paulson, let's just make it really clear. You may have been a little brainchild sitting in New York City on Wall Street, leading an investment bank, a brokerage. But I got to tell you, the way you're acting, I mean, it's disgusting. You're the Treasury Secretary. You're supposed to have more character, more capacity, and more concern for the American people than you are for a bunch of bankers who are over their heads. You must be over your head as well. How about we try this? Is anybody in Washington thinking about this? Just a thought. Just something maybe somebody could consider.
You know,
if we have $100 billion that's going to be pooled for these money center banks and some of the larger investment brokers, the fact of the matter is that $100 billion could, by Treasury, be directed through those institutions back to the people who are underwater with those mortgages, who are facing resets and arm recalculations on their mortgages. This is not that complicated. And by the way, the geniuses who have gotten this country in this mess, maybe as much as $1 trillion in these absurd credits, maybe if they would just deal with the simple, straightforward fact that this is about people, not about their institutions. It's ridiculous.
The Hope Now letters that are being sent out, very few people will qualify for any assistance under this as it's structured now.
Yeah. And you know what, I have a vision of George Bush and Paulson and the boys and girls sitting there in the White House sort of chortling, saying, well, we did our best, but, you know, that just didn't work out. Our so-called ownership society just didn't make the break in 2007, and those poor dummies. But at least we saved those Wall Street banks. And I don't think it takes much imagination to see them and hear them doing precisely that. Get off your rear ends and get to work and do something of which you could be proud instead of something for which the American people hold you in contempt. How about that, Mr. Bush? Thank you very much. Kitty Pilgrim. Crude oil prices